France is once again plunged into crisis. On September 8th, the National Assembly delivered a crushing blow. Prime Minister François Bayrou ousted in a dramatic confidence vote. 3 premiers gone in under a year, a president cornered, and a nation on the edge of political chaos. This is the fall of Bayrou and the turmoil of Macron's France. France has plunged into yet another political crisis. On September 8th, Prime Minister François Bayrou lost a crucial confidence vote in the National Assembly, forcing him to resign after less than 9 months in office. Lawmakers voted overwhelmingly against him, 364 to 194, making Bayrou the 4th Prime Minister to fall in just 2 years under President Emmanuel Macron.
Voici le résultat du scrutin.
Out of 573 eligible voters, 558 deputies cast their votes. The absolute majority required was 280, but only 194 supported François Bayrou, while 364 voted against him. The National Assembly rejected his general policy declaration. In line with Article 50 of the Constitution, the Prime Minister is now obliged to submit the government's resignation to the President.
This defeat marks not just the end of Bayrou's short-lived government, but also underlines the turmoil in Europe's second-largest economy. It's a crisis driven by deep divisions in Parliament, mounting public debt, and a president struggling to hold on to domestic authority. To understand Bayrou's fall, we need to go back to June 2024. Macron, weakened by a poor showing in the European Parliament elections, made a dramatic gamble. He dissolved the National Assembly and called snap legislative elections. His hope was that French voters would rally behind his centrist, pro-European alliance, giving him a strong and stable majority. Instead, the gamble backfired. The result was a splintered parliament with no single dominant bloc. For the first time in France's modern history, the lower house was paralysed by division. That fragmentation has haunted every prime minister since. Michel Barnier, the former EU Brexit negotiator, was appointed in September 2024, but ousted by December. Bayrou was meant to bring stability, appointed in December 2024, but he too inherited a minority government that never had enough support to govern securely. François Bayrou, a 74-year-old centrist and veteran of French politics, made his own miscalculation. He called a confidence vote on his economic program, hoping lawmakers would endorse his plan to slash public spending and reduce France's staggering debts. But instead, Parliament seized the opportunity to topple him. Left-wing and far-right parties, bitter rivals on almost every issue, united to oust Bayrou's government. In his final speech as Prime Minister, Bayrou admitted he was taking a risk.
I think we have shown an image of the Republic that is honorable and active. And so, from that point of view, I wanted, on behalf of the government, to thank the National Assembly and, as Prime Minister, to thank the members of the government. The problem, the threat, the risk for France will remain whole because, ladies and gentlemen deputies, you have the power to overthrow the government, but you do not have the power to erase reality. Reality will remain inexorable.
At the end of the first quarter of 2025, France's debt stood at about 3.65 trillion, or 114% of GDP. Servicing that debt alone accounted for around 7% of state spending. Bayrou argued this was unsustainable and called for $48 billion in budget cuts by 2026. France's debt problem is not new. For decades, successive governments have spent more than they earned, borrowing heavily to cover the difference. The result is a mounting debt burden that now stands as the 3rd highest in the Eurozone, behind only Greece and Italy. That equates to nearly $54,000 for every French citizen. In 2024, the deficit was 5.8% of GDP, far above the EU's 3% target. This year, it is expected to remain at 5.4%. France also faces demographic pressures. With an aging population, there are fewer workers paying taxes and more citizens drawing pensions. In 2023, the retirement age was raised from 62 to 64. Bayrou warned that the notion of stopping work in one's early 60s no longer matched economic reality. But lawmakers on the left and right rejected his call for austerity. Leftists want higher taxes instead of cuts, while the far right seized the chance to weaken Macron further. The vote took place in an extraordinary session of the National Assembly. Lawmakers interrupted their summer recess to deliver what turned into high political drama. Opponents of Macron are now pushing him to dissolve Parliament yet again. Marine Le Pen, leader of the far-right National Rally, has been particularly vocal. She believes her party would win a majority in fresh elections.
Today is not about the political fate of a man, since the demands of a political fight, of course, go beyond people. That's the honor of politics, and it's sometimes a noble servitude to accept it. This moment marks the end of the agony of a ghost government.
Others on the far left have even demanded Macron himself step down, though the president insists he will stay until his mandate ends in 2027. France has been thrust into another period of political turbulence after François Bayrou became the third Prime Minister to fall in less than a year under President Emmanuel Macron. Gabriel Attal quit in September 2024, Michel Barnier was ousted in December, and now Bayrou has been forced out following a crushing confidence vote defeat. The president must now search for a fourth Prime Minister in just 12 months, an unprecedented sign of instability in the Fifth Republic. Macron's options are limited and fraught with risk. He could turn to the left, which won the most seats in the 2024 snap elections, with names such as socialist leader Olivier Faure, former Premier Bernard Cazeneuve, or Pierre Moscovici floated. Alternatively, he may stick with loyalists and centrists, including Defence Minister Sébastien Lecornu, Labour and Health Minister Catherine Vautrin, or Justice Minister Gérald Darmanin. Yet whoever he chooses will face the same divided parliament, leaving any government hostage to opposition forces. For now, Bayrou remains caretaker, but France drifts in uncertainty. Macron's domestic authority is badly eroded. His gamble in June 2024 to dissolve Parliament has backfired, leaving him cornered, weakened, and navigating one of the most turbulent chapters of his presidency.